Call this Altoona City Council meeting to order Monday, December 2nd at 6 p.m. We'll now have a moment of silent prayer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Watch me fall out of my seat.
Linda, would you take the roll call, please?
Councilman Beatty.
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Here.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Here.
Councilman Ickes.
Here.
Councilman Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Pacifico.
Here. We had two executive sessions that I have to announce. One on November 12th to discuss personnel and potential litigation, and one on November 24th to discuss personnel. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comment. If anybody would like to address council, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments to under 5 minutes. The floor is now open.
Hello, this be for new business? I have some visual aids. That's just like it is, just like it is. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. And just face it towards council. Right here would be fine.
Where do you want this?
That's down, yeah. Straight down.
I have no idea. What am I doing with this?
Excuse me, you're going to have to use the microphone, please. Because this is broadcast on. We wouldn't be able to hear you. You'll have to use the microphone.
Okay, this is if,
Please, could you please state your name and address?
I'm sorry, I'm Charles Lamarck, 310 Lexington Avenue, Altoona, Pennsylvania. I'm here for the Logan Town Park Committee and also the committee to save the park here. This is Logan Town, if anyone's not familiar with it. And this all areas from Chestnut Avenue to 22nd Avenue, from 1st Street to 4th Street, and extend extremities on beyond. And this is like the cricket field park at the bottom. This is the first park that was lost of Logan Towns. That was in the 60s. The next park that was lost was the Logan Town Park, which was in the 90s. The next one now was on Lexington Avenue, which that park down there was the area that was cleared from houses before that were on there. Now, the rest of them were all natural. Little Orchard Park now is what's in jeopardy. Little Orchard Park never had houses on it. From the McCartneys, who owned the ground years ago, this area was actually not deemed for parks, for a park area, and it is a park area, very obviously. If you see from the picture here, here's a cyclorama shot of the park. It goes 350 feet by 120 feet. And this is from the 50-foot lots that were sold off by McCartney. Normally, how they would sell them off. That's how we get the measurements. Now, the park, since around 1910, actually looked very similar to this, with maybe a couple trees that were in the area here towards the street that had to be taken off. The vicinity needs this park. The children use it. Even when I took these pictures, there were people playing in it. So we don't have that excuse that no one uses the park. The park isn't just for kids to play in. It's for people to walk through. It's for beauty. And it's the only, there's no traffic in this area. No traffic at all. Hardly any traffic. Just a few people who live there. So you can see the location. isn't a high-traffic area. We have a safe area for the children to play and a safe area for elderly people to sit there. It was taken care of years before by by City Hall, by the city itself. And they haven't done anything. You need to be putting some benches in here. It doesn't need sidewalks. You can put walkways in if you want, but it's got it. It's got stuff. It's got a play area in it. It's got a field. It's got an area kids can play ball. There's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. It's just convenient to take it. It's the last one. It's the last one in Logantown. Why take Logantown's only park? You put a few rinky-dink little places through the city in some of the higher rent areas, and you think that you can just take it away from the poor area. No, you don't need to do that. You shouldn't do that. We've lost too much already. We just get the last park in Logantown, and you want to take it. Come on, let's use our heads. Then later on, you want to build something here. What are you going to put in here? You don't have a place to put anything. Or you'd be taking it too, wouldn't you? If you went over to Tuckahoe Park, you went over to Prospect Park, and you want to take a section of that, you'd have the people enraged. And we're enraged too. There was a time when, in the 90s, City Hall was going to take a section of Prospect Park, the downside section going towards Pleasant Valley. Those people were informed by our committee, and they came to City Hall and they raised Cain about it, and they stopped it. And they had money. We don't have a lot of rich people here. We have people who could take a class action. I don't think that'd be necessary. It shouldn't be. You need to just think, this shouldn't be done. You got lots of vacant lots through this city. Just drive down 6th and 7th Avenue. What's your excuse? Somebody else owns them? Buy them off of them. The vacant houses. Find a place to put these. You're going to put 8 to 12 rinky-dink little units in here. 8 to 12. And you're going to give this up forever because of that. You can find 8 to 12 sections somewhere in the rest of the city. You don't have to take it from Logantown. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's gone forever. You don't need to take it. You know, housing's important, but so is recreation. So is a peaceful area. So is green grass. You're taking away that. It won't never come back. The big mistake was making when they took the cricket field. They didn't even have a ballpark for the cricket field whenever they took it. That was beautiful. Central Park. It was Altoona Central Park. So what's left? Let's try to keep some of it instead of getting rid of it. It was been 34 years since I saw a problem like this happen when we lost our park. And it was back in the 60s when the cricket field was gone. That was enough. Let's stop it. Let's stop and think. It's easy. It's easy. It's area you can plow out. You can put something in there.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Lamar.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. And I hope I got through. Thank you very much.
My name is Melissa Wertz. I live right next to the park. We bought our home in 2003. Our children were young. When we were looking for a home, we were looking for at least a double lot so that we could have room for them to play. This house came along. It has just one lot, but the park is right next to us. So we bought this house with the expectations, the kids have a big area to be able to play. Now, the park wasn't kept up with at the time we moved in. The teenagers had been there a lot. There was broken glass everywhere. There was, graffiti everywhere. It has since been cleaned up. But my husband grew up in the neighborhood. When he was in the 70s playing in this area, there were slides, there were monkey bars, there were chin-up bars, which the chin-up bars just left. They were right next to my house. Within the last 5 years, they pulled them out. There was a pavilion. There was a basketball court. There were swing sets. Now we have the little piece that the Blair Rec or whoever put in is still there. But the field is used by kids learning how to play baseball. Their kids are out there playing football. They're playing frisbee. They're playing on the equipment. They're sled riding. There's people training their dogs to behave or to, do different tricks or whatever their training is. There's people in the park all the time. I don't have grandchildren yet. My kids are just to the point where they have boyfriends and girlfriends. I want to be able to have this area for my grandkids when that time comes. I don't want my property value to plummet. Please let this park alone.
Can we put the micro, can we just set, for everyone's sake, can we fix that? Thank you.
All right. As far as the park, I moved over to
Sir,
Beach Avenue.
What's your name?
Damian Spallone.
And your address?
My address is 210 Beach Avenue.
Thank you.
When I moved to my new place in June of 2022, part of the reason why I moved to that location was because of the park and the nice area and the green space. And I enjoy watching the kids and stuff play over in the park and enjoy having the park in the neighborhood and that, but it's been there forever. And to take it away, to hear about them wanting to build over there was devastating. And the thing was, I was just going by rumor when this all took place. I was away. I was out of town when I found this out. Nobody in my neighborhood really knew anything about what was going on. So I did some searching myself in all the newspaper articles and stuff like that. And when I found out the news, I couldn't believe it. Out of all the other spaces they could pick to build on in the whole city, they pick a green space and park that's been there forever. I was just devastated in it. I just couldn't imagine it. Unbelievable. It's unacceptable. I please ask you guys to look at other options in the area. There's plenty of blighted homes and stuff like that could be used to build, not a park. No excuse. And to add on top of that, I've also seen kids sled riding down in the park and playing ball and everything like that over there. So the park is not abandoned. It's not blighted. It's no blight. It's not abandoned. It's not any of that. So it does not even qualify for what you guys want to build on there. You guys could build in other areas. So if you could just think about that and let that set in. That park is well used and taken care of. So we ask you, but you'll keep the park, please. And thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pacifico, City Council members, Interim City Manager Cassell, and neighbors and friends. My name is Timothy Smith. I'm a retired U.S. Army Chief Warrant Officer, a resident of Altoona in Ward 3 at 524 Rose Hill Drive, now for 3 years. My first time here, addressing you. I wish to speak about the Redevelopment Authority and the Land Bank. My farmhouse and 3/4 acre urban farm at Rose Hill existed long before Altoona absorbed it decades ago. When the land was slated for rezoning, my neighbors at the time came and petitioned to halt that activity, and Save was at the time a derelict property. They bought it, repaired it, and it remains on the tax rolls. I cherish and strive to restore and improve what I think is a city historic treasure. I fully applaud the work done to energize the land bank and redevelopment process. Being able to leverage vacant, blighted, tax delinquent, and abandoned properties through creative leadership using a variety of resources is quite a thing to have. There is an overriding public need to do so. In other places that I've lived, like Tacoma, Washington, and in Russellville, Arkansas, we didn't have such authorities. However, using the parcels which constitute Orchard Park to, quote, seed the land bank, as the ABCD CEO Steve McKnight phrased it on the 1st of May, is in direct conflict with the city code, as delineated in Chapter 558, Paragraph 1D, which directs the city to, quote, systematically remove problem properties from the cycle of vacancy, abandonment, and tax foreclosure and return them to productive use, end quote. I was deeply involved in the comprehensive planning process, which I thought worked really well, and was and will be an advocate for green space and parks in the city of Altoona. As you can see and heard, Orchard Park is not a problem set of parcels, abandoned or blighted. The last time it was delinquent, and I went to Blair County Courthouse to find out, it was sold on the 22nd of May, 1944. I know you outsourced this to Arrow, some outside company, to find out, but that's the last time it was blighted tax-wise. Then it was rechecked again and reconsolidated in November of 1956. Could have saved you some money, cost me about $2.75. Anyway, as you can see, it wasn't abandoned. It's not blighted. It was first sold for tax default then, and it's been since then a property, a parcel for the city. The park has been overseen and maintained by the Blair Central Parks and Recreation Site Company or Authority with its own website until just this last summer when Vice Mayor Ellis moved to sell it to the RVDA on 10 June. And very respectfully, Mayor Pacifico, you failed to highlight any of this when you mentioned this acquisition of several vacant lots in the annual report titled New Tools to Fight Blight in Altoona in Our Town Times, which went out all through the city, sits down in the city office, and went everywhere. There's no mention that those vacant parcels were a park. This has been a park, overseen and maintained for all these years. Please pause this. You don't even have a clear title yet. And the neighborhood only found out about this in the Altoona Mirror. This is not some brushy, abandoned, trash-filled set of lots behind a warehouse. It's a quiet, peaceful, green space used for decades by a working-class neighborhood. I'm a retired Army intelligence technician. I've looked at every aerial image I can get my hands on back to the 1930s. There've never been homes on these lots, so nothing has ever been developed to constitute redevelopment. This is a development to seed the land bank, make some builders money, and set aside the number 2 priority of the just enacted action plan regarding parks and green spaces. Please pause this. Please don't. Work with us. Work with the neighborhood. Work with us in the community. They're also working in other green spaces in the city. We're already doing that. As the interim city manager knows it. We've taken other parts of the city. We're restoring. We're removing invasive species. We're putting in native species, native plants. We're putting in an orchard already. Just Sunday, we redecorated a tree and had a whole group of community members out there. And we can make Orchard Park a food orchard, a place for kids to play.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Sorry I couldn't hear you. I have hearing loss. I couldn't hear that sound.
Hi, I'm Steve Alfelt. I live at one of your blighted properties on 116 Spruce Avenue
And the good news is I've spent $2,500 now on a structural engineer and down payment for the sewer main replacement, and we're getting on with the job of actually fixing my house up. So thank you for not letting me kick the can down the road any longer. But of course, I live, as the crow flies, 250 feet from the closest point of my property to Little Orchard Park. And while the proximity of the park was not the driving thing that led my wife and I, now my ex-wife, I should say, I guess, still getting used to that. That's not what led us to pick that house. But while we were deciding, should we really go for it, the proximity to the park, for me, was the deciding factor. I raised my now almost 16-year-old, later this month, daughter. I raised her in that park, essentially. Every opportunity, I'm a stay-at-home dad, every opportunity when she was young, we would be down in the park. I have personally met and talked to and done some kind of science education with probably 30 kids from the neighborhood who see what my daughter and I are doing in the park, and they think, wow, what are they looking at? And they come over, and then we start talking about blossoms. We start talking about insects. We're laying in the grass in the evening, listening to the bats flying above in the trees. There are so many fireflies that come out of that park. Once we had a little pop-up tent with 400 fireflies in it, and you open up the door and the fireflies go up. It's like natural fireworks. But that's not going to happen if you cram all of these little houses in this area. I'd like to point out that the 3x4 block area from Cherry to Maple, from 1st to 5th, is a U.S. Census block, and the people who track poverty rates report that, I think it was 2015, I think it was, they reported about 47% poverty in that 12-block area. Now, I'm certain that every member on the council and everybody at the Redevelopment Authority can get in their vehicle. If they don't already live in a beautiful green area, you can get in your car and you can drive to the state park. You can drive to the game lands. But the people that are living in poverty, you look at the Google Air photo, and on the Chestnut Avenue side of the hill before you get over towards 25th Street, it's just roofs, and it's cars, and it's pavement. And while there is one green space, that's the cemetery, Fairview Cemetery, but we don't want the kids going up there to play. There's one big green space where these kids who don't have any other way to access nature can walk from their home safely, and that is to Little Orchard Park. And my kid's grown up and gone, but I have already met so many kids from the neighborhood who are out doing creative play. They are running, and they are doing all of those things that we want kids to do instead of the kinds of things that we don't want the kids to do because they don't have anywhere else to go. I brought an academic paper here that talks about, we already know that the proximity to the green space increases property values. And I only learned about this effort last evening. My academic degree is in this field, natural resources conservation. It's like environmental studies. I would have been happy to bring a whole pile of research about how green space affects property values. But what I really want to talk about, because of the poverty factor, is this paper, The Economic Benefits of Urban Green Spaces, Distribution Across Income Areas and Impact on Property Values in Local Economies. And the author writes, indirect benefits encompass public health improvements, leading to reduced healthcare costs through promotion of physical activity. It can also mitigate urban heat island effects, and we are going to have one of those heat emergencies in Altoona sooner or later. It also says the equitable distribution of intangible economic benefits is a critical concern, and research indicates that green spaces are often unequally distributed, with affluent areas typically enjoying better access and more well-maintained parks compared to lower income neighborhoods. And that disparity exacerbates existing social inequalities, underscoring the need for policies that ensure fair allocation of green spaces across all economic levels. So I appreciate my neighbor's comments that you can't just throw houses into an open green space, which is really a treasure. And with the comprehensive plan, we should be looking at how to integrate these property value improvements and the intangible benefits as you go forward with the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan Sesame Wild, and I am here with to represent Wild Ones nonprofit and Ecotopian Earth Care, a local business here. It's nice to see everybody. It's been a pleasure getting to know the community the past couple of years, and I was called to be here for Orchard Park, as it's a green space, and that's where my passion and my expertise goes towards. And I don't know much about housing, and I don't know if this is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I'm just here to offer my services, to represent my team, and to offer our services, that if you do decide to keep this as a green space, that we would volunteer to put in a rain garden that you could take stormwater to help with the stormwater issues, to put native edible plants in the garden to make it an actual orchard on the outskirts, so that there's still places to play, but we could enhance the name into an orchard since it's Little Orchard Park. And yeah, I'm here to help and to be of service with my passion. So thank you so much.
Well, I didn't want to cut out any more park people, so, okay. There we go. As many of you know, my name is Scott Campanero. I live at 315 7th Avenue over in part of town called Little Italy. Live in my great-grandfather's house. My family's been here for quite a while. I currently work for the city, and as you can see behind me, there's about 30 other members of city employment that are here. These are your employees. These are the people that work for each one of you, councilmen and women. This is who they are. The reason I'm here tonight is, as we're negotiating our new collective bargaining agreement, we came to kind of an impasse, and the negotiating committee of both sides, management and labor, decided that I might need to come here and explain a single point, just elaborate on it. We're not here to negotiate. And that point, of course, is the economic factors in the new collective bargaining agreement. There is a issue which we're facing now, since a bunch of drunk teenagers have been in charge of the economy for the last 3 years, where we're facing what's amounted to double-digit inflation, and each one of you should have received a document from Attorney Palumbo. According to Forbes, they rated it about 25% in that range, depending on how you look at your metrics. And I think many of us have felt that pinch, and your workers have felt that also. There is a decided movement when you have that much inflation from the middle class out of the middle class. And that's what I'm here to advocate for tonight, on why we have the asks that we have in the collective bargaining agreement. The economy that has been a dumpster fire for the last 3 years has caused several problems. Hiring and retention is one of them, and it's also now creating a problem, as we predicted 3 years ago in negotiations then, that this would cause an issue with wages, because it's a devaluation of the current paychecks that people have. Their purchasing power has dropped by 25%. Once again, referencing Forbes magazine. The footnotes are in the document, I believe, that you all received. Now, this problem is not going to go away. It's not going to be resolved by additional benefits or anything like that. Almost all the people, as a matter of fact, all the people that are here from the city that are currently working 2 jobs. Could you raise your hands? And there are some people that are working 3 jobs. Yeah. Yeah. So this is an issue that's going to cause problems. Other companies that are coming up, that are opening up their doors, will naturally price their wages at the current market value, which currently we are not at with the city. In the comprehensive plan, Altoona altogether, that you accepted this summer, it mentions this, that the pay for our employees are below a standard for a city this size. It's only been made worse over the last 3 years. I can reference this document very freely since labor had no input into the comprehensive plan. We offered input and were politely refused. So it's awesome that we can sit here and say there is no possible influence that we had over forming this document. So the solution to this, and I'm just going to be very blunt because I have about 1:15 to go, would be that the plan that you have paid for, a pretty penny, implement it, use it, get us workers that are able to support their families on the wages that they can have. This may seem like sticker shock, the wage increase that we're asking for, but it's not greed, it's sticker shock. It's a unique ask in a unique time because we're facing, and even with the adults being back in charge, that's not going to, even if inflation drops down to 1 or 2%, that does not change the decrease in our value of purchasing that's occurred over the last 3 years. Then that won't be made up by 2 or 3 or 4%. That's just not going to happen. And people don't want to leave the middle class. They want to stay there. In summation, people are not asking for a windfall. We're just asking to make up what's been lost. And it's a painful thing, and it's a big number, but that's what we're asking for, and that's why. Thank you for your time, gentlemen, lady.
Thank you.
Ah, mine went off first.
Is there any more public comment? Okay, we will close the floor for public comment and move on. We just heard from the union. Christina, do you have an update on negotiations that you'd like to provide?
So the union has proposed a 3-year contract that would increase wages by more than 12% per year for a total of 37% over the 3-year term. The city is willing to increase wages by 4% per year or 12% over that time. In balancing the interests of the employees and the taxpayers, we believe that is a fair response and also importantly sustainable by the city. We cannot recommend a contract at this time or a settlement that would raise the likelihood of reinitiating state oversight or that is otherwise fiscally irresponsible and overburdensome to our taxpayers.
Thank you. Linda, would you read the resolutions, please?
Item A is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Item B is approving the 10th Avenue retaining wall demo and guide rail installation in the amount of $198,253.13 payable from ARPA funds, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item C is approving the 2025 to 29 capital improvement program, which includes a reasonable, prioritized, and practical list of capital projects to be undertaken by the city over the next 5 years. And these capital projects are designed to preserve the city's infrastructure, ensure safety and efficiency of city personnel, and maintain quality of life in the community. Item D is approving the city council meeting scheduled attached here to for the year 2025 in accordance with the Home Rule Charter and Administrative Code of the City of Altoona. Item E is authorizing a subrecipient agreement between the city and the Altoona Parking Authority for the use of ARPA funds in the amount of $165 for parking system upgrades, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item F is approving an agreement of sale between the city and Curry Realty for purchase of property located at 1501 to 07 12th Avenue in the amount detailed in the documents attached hereto, payable from ARPA funds, and further authorizing the mayor and interim manager to execute all documents related to the sale and the city clerk to attest to same. Item G is amending and restating the fee resolution to include an increase in parking rates by the Altoona Parking Authority, adding an Altoona Fire Department fireworks display permit fee, increasing CPR training fees, restructuring permit section and increasing permit fees, increasing home-based business zoning fees and containerized storage fees, increasing foreclosed property registration fees, increasing rental inspection no-show fee, and increasing sexually oriented business annual permit renewal fees, increasing right-of-way street restoration, and increasing various utility fees and updating language. Item H is authorizing the mayor to sign the power of attorney and declaration of representative form for the sewer revenue bond series 2019 audit. Item I is approving a repository bid in the amount of $250 submitted by Rachel William of 1710 4th Street for property located at 324 Spruce Avenue, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district form. Are there any deletions or anything that needs to be pulled for separate vote? Hearing none, I'll call for the consent vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Councilman Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
And the consent vote passes 7-0. We have 4 ordinances on the agenda, which the first ordinance is for introduction. And for this, I'll just need somebody to introduce this. It's an ordinance establishing and authorizing participation in the Blair County Building Codes Enforcement Agency and delegating municipal powers thereto. Is there a council member?
That?
Pardon me?
Is it Cambria? It's Cambria.
Oh, that's right, yeah, we just had that discussion. An ordinance establishing and authorizing participation in the Cambria County Building Codes Enforcement Agency and delegating municipal powers there too. Thank you, sorry about that. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance is being introduced by Councilman Butterbaugh. And this next ordinance is for adoption. It was introduced by Mayor Pacifico, and it's an ordinance of the city and the county of Blair, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, appropriating specific sums estimated to be required for specific purposes of municipal government hereinafter set forth during the year 2025. It's the 2025 budget ordinance. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Vice Mayor Ellis and seconded by Mayor Pacifico, and I'll call the roll for a vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
And the vote passes 7-0. We have the next ordinance, which was introduced by Councilman Ickes, and it's an ordinance amending the code of the city of Chapter 646 entitled Taxation to amend Article, 8, thereof entitled Earned Income and Net Profits Tax to levy a tax on earned income and net profits of residents of the city at the following rates for 2025. 1% for general revenue purposes by authority of Local Tax Enabling Act, 0.3% for general revenue purpose by authority of Home Rule Charter and Optional Plans Law, and 0.4% to defray costs related to pension plans of the city by the authority of the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard and Recovery Act. In addition, said ordinance will levy a tax on earned income and net profits of certain non-residents who work in the city at the following rates: 1% for general revenue purposes by authority of the Local Tax Enabling Act, and 0.4% to defray costs related to the pension plans of the city by the authority of the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard and Recovery Act. Said ordinance will continue to require tax returns, require employers to withhold and remit tax, contains definitions, references applicable statutes, designates a tax collector, establishes interest, penalties, costs, and fines, and provides severability, a purpose, and establishes an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilman Ickes and seconded by Vice Mayor Ellis. I'll call the roll for a vote. Councilman Beatty.
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Yes.
Councilman Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
The vote passes 7-0. And the last ordinance was introduced by Vice Mayor Ellis, and it is an ordinance of the City of Altoona, County of Blair, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 646 entitled Taxation, and in particular 646-96 millage established ongoing tax, establishing the tax rate for all real estate subject to taxation located in the city at a rate of 7.129 mils for the year 2025, and continuing thereafter without reenactment until said rate is changed by City Council. The ordinance also provides for reaffirmation for the remainder of Chapter 646, repeal of all ordinances or parts of laws in conflict therewith, severability of provisions, and an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilwoman Klinich and seconded by Councilman Beatty. I'll call the roll for a vote. Councilman Beatty.
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Yes.
Councilman Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 7-0.
Okay, moving on to city manager updates. Nate?
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I'd like to say is the Glow Up Night event is this Friday in downtown. The lighting of the Christmas tree, and then Saturday will be the 5K race, and then the parade starting at 1 o'clock. So, just like to thank those folks that got downtown ready this year. Looks great. If you're around, stop down.
Thank you. Council discussion items. Councilman Kelly.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Ickes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have some information to share. Just as a recap, over the last 2 to 3 years, it's been well noted that Prospect Pool has received a lot of discussion from this governing body and further community support. Recently, the city was approached by a community member with their desire to make a significant contribution toward a new pool at Prospect Pool, provided that the city continues to support our community swimming pool. So over the next year, there will likely be more information to share. The City Council certainly appreciates the support from this community member to see this project through and for the pool to serve our community for many years to come. I also, and I think all of us collectively here, want to thank the outpouring support for Prospect Pool from our community, the volunteers, and the city staff who has worked tirelessly to keep this at the forefront for our community. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Nothing.
Anyone else?
Nothing, Mayor.
Councilman Beatty.
I had nothing, Mayor.
Councilman.
Thank you. Were there any changes from the tentative budget in the tax, for the tax increases, the EIT or the property?
The budget that was introduced in November was the budget that was approved this evening.
So no changes in the budget either?
No changes.
Regarding the Curry sale, is that the parking lot exchange that was discussed at the Parking Authority several months ago? Okay.
Yes, Bill.
Okay. And Matt, what is the significance of you signing the form for the sewer revenue bonds?
Mike.
It's Resolution H. Like, what's it mean, I guess?
I can answer that.
Hey, Bill. Bill,
Well, yeah, you can.
the city was the guarantor on those bonds. The IRS is doing an audit on that. So the mayor is signing off to give our attorney the power of attorney to act on our behalf of that audit from the IRS.
Oh, okay. Is that just a routine audit, or do they find something
I think
wrong?
they're selected at random, and it being a 2019 offering, they typically, this time would have been, all the funds would have been expended. So they're just verifying that the funds were spent for what they were borrowed for.
Okay. And what, I'm not sure who to ask this, but what is the significance, or the meaning even, I guess, of the ordinance authorizing participation in the Cambria County Building Codes Organization?
Bill, that's a Cambria County Building Codes Enforcement Agency. That was founded and administered, and it is administered by the Laurel Municipal Inspection Agency. We have, or we're going to be having them as an additional inspection agency with the city. Currently, we use Middle Department Inspection Agency. A lot of municipalities give an option of different inspection agencies to make things easier for contractors and residents.
So MDIA as well as this new place is
Correct.
going to be available.
Yes.
The city currently has no in-house inspection.
Not right now.
Okay. Okay, and now, have there been any bids for construction of houses on Beach Avenue so far? The deadline was today, right?
So the deadline was today, Bill. We don't know that we had any or not. They were due to the secretary of the department by the end of the day, and Diana and I were in meetings, so
Okay,
we're not sure.
okay. Are you, never mind. Any comment from council or anybody on staff, I guess, about the complaints about this potential project?
Bill, I think the one thing that you see here tonight in an even display is that the city has workers we have to pay, and we have people that need affordable housing. So you get to see it on display tonight as, you know, the city's doing a balancing act between, you know, providing the tools that we need to run the city successfully and then having the revenue to do it. So I think this is a really unique night, you know, to show the position that the city council is in, you know, as we move forward with the Altoona Together plan.
At this point, can anybody say whether the intention is to move forward in spite of these, in spite of the opposition with this proposal?
This is a redevelopment authority matter, Bill. It's not really a city council issue at this point.
Since you and Ron are on the redevelopment authority, would either of you care to say whether you would vote to keep going with it or back off because of the opposition?
I think it's gonna depend on what the proposals look like if we receive any, you know?
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it just depends on how good the proposals look, you know, what it is that is being offered to be built there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, clearly the people here who came here on that account don't want anything there at all, other than what they're proposing to do themselves. So what possibly in the way of a proposal that would meet the requirements of the RFP would cause the city to go forward with it based on what you're saying is like what it might look like?
again, it's gonna come down to what the proposal looks like that's being presented to us.
Okay. Anybody else want to say anything about it? Okay. Well, another issue something they brought up, I'd like to comment on if anybody cares to make it. They suggest, several people suggested using blighted homes throughout the city to do the kind of thing you're talking about here. What do you say about that? Is that a practical answer, I guess, or
Yeah.
alternative?
It is, Bill, and that it is something that we have been doing. We've been looking at all options to build new housing in the city.
Bill, I think you've seen that we've put quite a bit of effort into rehabbing blighted houses and assembling, taking houses that are no longer used or lived in or whatever, so we, as Altoona together, Altoona, as we look at all the different aspects we have to maintain housing in good condition. We have to fix up blighted homes. We have to build new housing. And I think there's quite a few people, if you know any realtors at all, there's a real shortage of housing in Altoona, whether you're trying to rent an apartment or whether you're trying to buy a home, whether you're a first-time home buyer. There are real shortages nationwide in not only affordable housing, but really any housing stock. So that's what, Altoona has to grow its tax base to maintain its services. And you can't tear your way down to prosperity. So, there's a mix of everything that we're doing to move Altoona forward, to having a sustainable existence. We don't want to go backward. We'd like to go forward.
I know in the past, it's been said by a number of people, staff and council people and redevelopment authority people, that there are not a lot of big areas to develop in Altoona. Anybody care to say anything about that?
I just get frustrated because, every time we go to do a project, it's not in my backyard. And, we have to make housing for people. And, we have parks in the city that almost every park we have in the city has existed for a very long time. At one time, Altoona had 88,000 people in it. Now we have 42. We still maintain the same number of parks. We cut the grass, we run programs. We have Fairview Park, we have Prospect Park, we have Geesey Park, we have Highland Park. There's just numerous parks through the city. Everything that we operate has an expense tied to it, whether it's maintenance, upgrading it. There is a true cost to every park. This stuff is not free. We provide almost $500,000 of Blair Central Rec to work in some of these projects. The city cuts grass, Blair Central Rec cuts grass. This is all things that we spend money on. So we're not deaf to recreation, but you have to have priorities. And I think that looking at places where we can build homes to put families in to raise children is an option that we need to look at.
Bill, I'm just going to say this. The idea of taking some of these blighted properties out and replace them with new homes, the problem with that is that whoever develops that is going to be upside down. And I think one of the things that's missed in this particular location is, and I wasn't on the decision-making committee on this because the RA did it, but it's a nice neighborhood, okay, where when someone develops in there, they're going to get their dollar back for the houses that they build in there, and which is contrary to what happens in some of the tougher neighborhoods that we have. I mean, this is a tough thing to look at. I mean, no one's going to come in and put a $250,000 house in a neighborhood where the property values are only $70,000 or $80,000. This is a little this is a better neighborhood where that might work. And if you follow the financing on this thing, it's to help facilitate that so that we can get quality houses put in there for working class people. And that's why that decision's made. And it's a very difficult thing. We were looking at the Keith Athletic Field, and we had a group of people come in that were concerned about the green space there. We have these folks that are here that are concerned about the green space at Orchard Park, and there was another one that I became aware of where there's 5 acres that's sort of landlocked, and the neighbors don't want to get involved in that. And as we've bandied around for weeks and months here, is that we need to find places to build houses, and we have to make tough decisions when it comes down to that, all right? And if we don't build the tax base, we're going to be continuing raising taxes to pay for the services that are given in the city. So it's a very frustrating thing. It's frustrating to everybody. It's frustrating to the neighbors because they want change. It's frustrating to us because we can't get houses built to deal with the housing need that's in the community. So it's a very frustrating thing all the way around.
Anyone else on that? Okay. Comment, if anybody wants to make it on, beyond what was already said, on what Scott Campanaro said about the his union's desire to have 37% over 3 years as a wage increase.
I do think it's important to just state that our priority remains to ensure a fair outcome for both parties.
The contract for the non-uniform workers is up at the end of the year, right? And aren't the contracts for the police and fire also up at the end of the year? Oh,
They come due next year.
next year.
Next year for the police and fire.
Weren't they always in sync before?
Not since I've been here.
They were staggered after the last set.
For a long period of time,
renewals.
the contracts all seem to coincide, but it hasn't always been that way. It was just a real lengthy period of time where the contracts did coincide, Bill. That's
Okay.
all.
So next year, both the police and fire, at the end of next year, they expire?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. What length of contract are you talking about? 3 years, right? For the non-uniform people?
That is correct.
Okay. And then, Jesse, can you say who has offered a donation for Prospect Pool?
I'm not at liberty to say that, Bill.
Can you say how much they've offered?
It is a significant contribution toward a new pool at Prospect Pool.
That's how much. Huh?
It's a significant amount.
They wish to remain anonymous, Bill, so that won't be disclosed.
Okay. It wouldn't pay for. I take it wouldn't pay for the whole thing, or would it?
It's a.
It would pay for the whole thing.
We are going to raise a certain amount of money through the city, and then, they'll probably offer up the top 10.
Okay, so it wouldn't. The donation alone wouldn't pay for the whole thing, though.
It's a significant contribution toward a new pool.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
A lot of time in it already.
Is that it, Bill?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Channel 10, do you have any questions? No? Okay. Meeting is adjourned.